All right, so hello, everybody.
Hello.
God, I dropped some. Thank you for joining. I'm talking to the people at home right now, but also hello to the panelists. This is Torn. So the panel has that we have this evening have never seen Torn. So Torn stands for Theater on Racist Negativity. So what we talk about is it started right after George Floyd. Lauren wanted to have something to deal with what was going on in our community. And she wanted it from a theater perspective. So she wanted people in the theater to speak on it, and not just in our community, inside the theater, but also outside of the theater. And so we are going to talk about both. We're going to start with outside of the theater. It's just a discussion, nothing formal, but we want to keep it as a discussion. We don't want to point fingers, definitely not at anybody on this panel, but we want to educate each other because we all have a different viewpoint and a different way of seeing this world and how things happen in this world. But again, I wanted it from a theater perspective. We do plays that always tell stories, and at the end they tell these moral stories, but a lot of times we as theater people, once the play is done, we don't really adhere to the story that we're telling in the play because we've been rehearsing it for 1,700 years, and and then we perform it for 3 weeks, and by that time it's gone out of our heads. So what I am going to ask you guys to do, and you can write this down if you want to. Let me let Tristan get in. Tristan, hey.
Juan, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Doing well.
That's good. So now that he's in, what I'm going to ask you guys to do now is, and I'll repeat it if I have to, I'll call on you, and I want you to tell me your nationality, where you live, because not everyone is in Raleigh on this one, what it is you do in theater. So those 3 things. And again, if you need to know by the time it gets to you, if you have forgotten it, just ask me and I will tell you again. So I'm going to start with Sean.
All right. My name is Sean Janicki. I live in Raleigh, and my background is white Irish descent.
What do you do in theater?
Oh, and I knew I was missing something. I'm a performer.
What kind of performer?
Mostly musical theater, but yeah, as you know, in this field, you take a job in whatever you can get.
Okay,
So
exactly.
mostly musical theater.
Okay. And I'm sorry, and I did forget to tell you, I don't think I told you to tell your name. That was the 4th one I meant. So yeah, your name, your nationality, where you live, and what you do in theater. Adrian?
My name is Adrian Dion Quarles. I'm black African. I'm originally from Shelby, North Carolina, Shelltown in the building, but I live in Greensboro. And what I do in the theater, I do a little bit of everything, but primarily I perform, musical theater or straight plays, direct and write.
Okay, thank you. All right, Judy.
Hi, my name is Judy. Let's see, nationality, American. My background, on my father's side, I'm kind of Mutt and Welsh and English. Don't know too much about that side. On my mother's side, I actually have photographs of my grandparents on Ellis Island. So my grandparents on my mother's side, didn't speak English. They're from Czechoslovakia, or now the Czech Republic. I was born in upstate New York, but grew up in the Triangle in Cary, Raleigh area. I now live in Hillsborough, although I spent the past about 10 years living in Eastern North Carolina, where I am segueing into the next question, what do I do in theater? I used to perform a lot with musical theater, and segued into a lot of directing mostly musical theater, straight plays. Most of the straight plays I did were had a bit of a social justice bent on them.
Okay, thank you. And Tristan.
I'm Tristan Andre, African American, and I'm a theater, dance artist, choreographer, actor, brother, friend, all of it, and I bring a lot of that to the theater. All of my identities intersect. I am not, a monolithic human being. So I just believe as an artist, you bring all of you to what it is. No matter, if it's music theater or straight theater, we give it labels, we give it names. It's just storytelling, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you live?
I'm a storyteller.
Okay. And where do you live?
I'm currently in Nashville, Tennessee with my family right now, but I'm a New York-based actor and work regionally. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, this has been my lead-off question for almost every show. And I would say for the first, out of the ones I did, I have 2 calls. Out of the ones I've done, up until probably maybe 2 shows ago, I would make a certain statement. And I'll tell you the reason why it's kind of changed. But I want you to think about something. And what I call it is programming. I asked what your nationality was. Now, everyone on this panel, were you born in America?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask this. Were you born in the United States? Everybody on this panel.
Mm-hmm.
Not a trick question. Adrian's got to think. Not a trick question, Adrian. Were you born? Okay, you were born in the United States. Okay. So when I ask you what your nationality is, if you are going by the programming, Judy actually gave the correct answer at first, but then she changed over and started giving me her heritage. She said American. I only asked nationality. I didn't ask heritage. Now, a lot of you, the rest, you gave me heritage, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. But if we are sticking strictly with, if you ask someone from Lebanon what the nationality is, they're going to tell you Lebanese. Correct?
Yeah.
That's what they're going to say. If you ask someone from Mexico, they're going to say Mexican. That's it. But I had a conversation with one of my nephews. A child shall lead them. And it brought something else to my attention. Technically, we don't have a defining nationality for ourselves, because America is a continent. A nation is a country. There's no such thing as the United Statesians. So we call ourselves Americans. Well, Canada is in America. Mexico is in America. It's just in North America. Brazil is in South America. But we have been programmed that we are so above everyone else on this planet that we took the words United States of America and we took the America part and either put African in front of it or whatever we put in front of it, or we took white and black and we made it into that's who we are. But technically, that is not the case. So I'm leading with that because I want you guys to think outside of your own box. That is the two, the white, the American, the black, the African American, because that's what you guys called yourselves. I want you to think outside of the box that you have put yourself in all these years. Because if you look it up in Google and you define it, nobody answers. And I'm in the same boat with that as you are. I did it for years, several years, 100 years. I'm like 300 years old. Anyway, so I did it as well. Say what?
I say you carry it well.
Thank you. Thank you. I carry old age well. Thank you.
You know what? Can I interject something?
Yes.
I think it's interesting with how, I mean, if you think about the United States of America and how young we are as a country, and how potentially we're still defining ourselves, that how amazing it is that you and your nephew are even questioning the fact that you're right. We don't even have a way to say we're United Statesians, you know, like, yeah, we can't all just go, boom, we are Lebanese, or, you know, have the commonality of saying we are.
And go ahead, Adrian.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
So you want to talk about labels. During the summertime, I teach refugees from Africa, you know, Tanzania, Uganda, multiple African countries. And I was having a talk with them, and a lot of them told me that they were not called Black until they got here to America. I mean, got here to the US of A, right? And once when I was working at a Jewish school, my boss, who happens to be from South Africa, she looked at me and white lady. I thought she was British. She sounded straight up British. You know what I'm saying? She said that she's a real African American because she came from Africa and lives in America and lives here in the United States of America now. You know what I'm saying? So, and plus Africa is named after a colonizer, someone named Africanus. The real name of the whole country is Kush. So, yeah, history has been completely contorted.
And exactly. And Judy, what you were saying about us being a young country, I think it's also funny that even the Mexicans have allowed the people in this country to make them feel like they don't belong. But they were here first. They were on this land first. You know, yes, if you're looking at a map, there's a division between the United States and Mexico. But if you go out there and stand where the actual division is supposed to be, you don't see a division. It's land.
Yeah.
They were here first. But when they cross it, you get people in this country that says, get out of America. Well, if they go back to Mexico, they still in America. So what do you mean get out of America? They were here. If you're going to still call it America, they were here before you were. So, you know, and then with the whole, then with the whole African thing, you know, let's just be honest, Adrian, Tristan, myself, y'all know that we can go to certain places in Africa and they'll look at us and say, y'all need to go back home. Y'all don't look like us.
I got a story for you. I got a quick story for you. Once I went to an African church, right? It was an African church filled with people who they were speaking nothing but Swahili, man. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, me, them, we are one. We are family, right? But yo, I felt completely like an outsider. You know what I'm saying? I felt so disconnected and broke my heart. But anyway, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. There's no interrupting. This is conversation. But with that being said, again, it's about programming. My next question, and I'll start with you, Tristan. At what age did you, and this is going to be for everyone, at what age did you first realize that there was a difference between you and what was in your household and someone else in the outside world? And that difference could be race, not gender, because I'm assuming there were different genders in your household, but it had to be something that it had to be with the eyes. There was something that was just different between you and someone that you saw that wasn't in your household. At what age and what was your initial thought?
I mean, generally speaking, everyone, depending on what household you grow up in, there's a specific cultural language that you have within the given household. So I can't recall a specific moment where, there was something overtly different about me, because I was raised in such a close-knit community where a lot of my extended family were around. My grandmother lived up the street. My aunt lived right around the corner. So it was very much like that cultural language that we had was very, there was a through line there. And also the schools that I went to, from elementary school and middle school, a lot of the kids that I grew up around were also a part of that community. So perhaps perhaps when I got to high school, which was a performing arts high school, and there was it was a whole diverse palette of students of the student body there. So I'd say that was my first time ever being around people who didn't necessarily share a similar cultural language as me, though there were those students there as well. But as a whole, the student body was completely diverse. And I don't say that to say that where I come from is not diverse as well, because I think that term is very, we have to be specific and intentional when we use diversity, because we are not monolithic people, no matter where we are in the world, no matter whatever groups or communities that you grow up around. Every room that you enter, every space that you enter is always diverse, because everyone has unique voices and different perspectives that are coming at certain situations or whatever. So I can't really recall a specific moment, but I think that as I develop and enter into more spaces, particularly in academia and higher education, I became, attuned to, just dynamics in the academic space and in the workforce as well. So I think that, as you develop, your consciousness develops, and so you become more aware of cultural differences in the workspaces and in academia. And so I can't really pinpoint one moment, but there are always moments of of unique understandings and perspectives of life.
Okay. Judy, same question. When did you first notice the difference, and what was the reaction and around you or whatever?
Um, I had a very sort of visceral response when you asked the question.
Mm-hmm.
I and it's interesting. I think maybe because my parents were from up north and coming to the south, um, and given my age, do I have to say how old I am?
You don't have to say, but you're probably not older than me, so
How old are you?
52. Go ahead.
Well, let's just say I'm older than you. Okay. Anyway, my parents were, I think, ahead of their time, in terms of um, how they conducted themselves in the world. And I'm, excuse me, I'm very, very lucky that I had the opportunity to grow up with them. I don't want it to. I want to make it sound ideal, and that like I had that I'm perfect and I don't struggle with stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very, very fortunate that they had a viewpoint in terms of civil rights that was really, I think, especially growing up in the South, amazing. Um, Pullen Park, you got, for those of you in Raleigh, Pullen Park. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up learning how to swim at Pullen Park. And at the time when they literally took kids and threw them in the pool, and that's how they taught at that time kids how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness I just naturally knew how to swim. But also during that time, they were integrating the pool. And so they allowed Black children in the pool. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, I didn't think anything of it because I was young. I was 5 or 6 years old. I mean, what do I, we're taught to be racist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was nothing to me because my parents didn't teach me that. But I distinctly remember parents yelling and grabbing their children and saying, "This water is dirty now," and grabbing their children and taking them up and getting them out of the water. And that was my first realization.
Mm-hmm.
Did I like sort of know all the implications of it at the time? No. Do I know it now? Absolutely. But I remember it felt bad. So
Did
that,
that have to be explained to you? Did your parents talk to you about it, or did you just pass it off and not say anything?
I mean, I think my mother was like there, she kind of like, no, it's fine. We play with all little boys and girls. It was just more of something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
those mothers are wrong. It was more something like that. It wasn't like there are white children and there are Black children and we all play together. It wasn't that specific, but it was more about the parents being wrong than explaining that all little children, you know, about color. It was just about the parents being wrong. But I
Judy,
remember it just felt bad that the parents would do something like that to children and make that differentiation.
my mom always watched the
Mm,
show, and she said that they did that in Kinston too. I'm from Kinston, by the way, so
okay,
she
yeah.
said they did that there as well. So yeah, yeah, understandable.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry. That was when you asked the question, it was just like,
well,
I,
yeah, and
feelings.
that's
Yeah,
what I want. That's what I want. I
yeah,
wanted to bring that to your remembrance. That's
sure.
why I said the very first time when it happens. I want honesty, and I want that to come back to everyone's
And
mind.
and
And
I'm starting to get like a flood of stuff that
mhm, mhm,
memories
yeah,
as a kid of like, yeah.
mhm.
So yeah, wow. It's been a
Um,
minute since I've thought about that kind of stuff, but yeah.
I understand, and I hate to bring it back up to you, but it had, yeah.
No,
Uh,
that's I had the easy part.
Adrian, same question, of course.
Wow. So I say that like my first, social memory of life started happening when I was like 5, right?
Mhm.
I found myself at school. Yeah, of course I play with fellow black kids, but I play with a lot of, but I also play with white kids too.
Mhm.
And even in my 5-year-old mind, I was like, hey, they're white, I'm black, right? But I really started thinking about it when I developed a crush on this girl, right? She was
Mhm.
white. And that's when my conscience at that time really thought about the difference between her and myself at the time, because I'm like, yo, I'm black, she's white. Am I allowed to like her? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
And like, even once when we were playing centers, and hey, I got my first kiss when I was 5 years old. Yo, we kiss each other, and I'm like, hey, I just kissed the white girl. This kind of like this kind of like, I'm probably not supposed to do this, am I? Does that answer the question, or am I going off on a tangent?
Yeah, no. That answers the question. Yeah, it
But
does.
but yeah, it's that. And when I noticed how my grandmother, God rest her soul, how much lighter than me and my mom, my grandmother was. I thought she was white. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
now she's black native and some white in her. But yeah, I say when I was 5 years old, that's when I started like really noticing that whole aspect.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sean, same question.
Yeah, so my experience is kind of similar to Tristan and a little bit of Judy's story where, so I was born in New Jersey in a very white area. We lived there for about 10 years before moving to Southeast North Carolina, into a very diverse area, 30% white, 30% black, 30% Native American. And I was, 10 or 11, I didn't think anything of it. I was also kind of sheltered in the theater bubble. So I had my own little diverse group that I wasn't, I guess, a shelter in a sense. And then probably 10th or 11th grade, I remember hearing about race riots at rival high schools. And I had no idea what that even meant. And I had literally had to ask someone, and it was literally, you know, gangs of people fighting against other races. And I think that was the moment where I was like, I was shocked. I was dumbfounded that like something like that would even happen. And I didn't know that it was happening because I wasn't involved in it. It just, I'm shaking right now thinking about it because it's just so crazy to me that I didn't know that while we were such a diverse community, it wasn't all love. And I thought it was, and it shook me to know that people in my community were fighting for the sole reason of your color. So 10th or 11th grade was when, and I didn't understand it at the time. I still don't understand it. I see it, and we can call it out. But yeah, high school was the moment where I first realized that there are differences and people don't agree with them.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
Ron, to
Tristan,
clarify my statement from
yes,
earlier
sir.
as well,
Mhm.
is that the community that I grew up around was predominantly Black. I grew up in the inner city
Mhm.
of Nashville, Tennessee. So there was very much of a cultural through line, as I stated earlier, to be specific about that. So, I've dealt with Black people. If 20
Mhm.
people who look like me, 25A, because
Mhm.
that's, if you grew up in the city, that's what you saw and that's what you were, which is very much different than my adulthood now, which you go to the inner city now, it's, all gentrified area. So, so it wasn't until, just to clarify, it wasn't until high school that I began to be around other races, other people from different parts of the world,
Mhm.
backgrounds, other cultures. And there was one specific moment too in high school, as we dig further into this discussion, that
Mhm.
one of my first theater teacher in high school, he told me that I looked like a tap dancer. And at the time I took that as, I took that in high regard because of course I love Sammy Davis Jr. I love the Nicholas brothers, and I thought that that was, high praise. But this was a
Mhm.
theater teacher. He told me that I looked like a tap dancer, and he asked me to get in front of the class and tap dance. And so I did, and I got up. I was not a tap dancer, am not a tap dancer. I came home and I told my mother what had happened, just kind of casually telling her how the school day went. That did not go over well with her. And that was a pivotal moment there that sort of was like, okay, so there's historical context there, the minstrelsy. And my mom, her response was, she was jarred. It was harrowing for her. When I told her, I was like, oh, my theater teacher asked me to tap dance in front of the class, and her response was, one of that of a Black mother. So he did it
Yeah.
once. At the
Oh
time,
yeah.
and at the time, because I was so young and have not developed the level of awareness or consciousness that I, have now, or wisdom and insight, that
Mhm.
I asked her, I said, well, let's not make any controversy of this. Don't do anything, because I was at a school that I had loved, and I was finally in a place where I felt like I could be who I was, and be creative at this performing arts high school. And so at that time, I didn't want to shake the table. But in retrospect, here we are. Here we are.
Right. Um, Definitely thank you, Tristan, for coming back around and for bringing that up. And since you did bring that up, I'm gonna jump into theater right quick. I probably jump in and out. Um,
Theater. Yes.
in how do I put this in theater, as far as in theater goes, with what Tristan just said. Well, first of all, with theater, and this is for Judy, because of where Judy is in New Bern. Aren't you still in New Bern, Judy?
Not still there, but it was good enough. We'll talk about New Bern.
Where are you now?
I'm in Hillsborough now, but I can easily talk about Eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, because I'm from Eastern North Carolina. You were in Eastern North Carolina.
Yeah,
Okay.
different bird there, for sure.
When you did theater in Eastern North Carolina,
Yeah.
was it as progressive as as you were used to?
No.
That was a bad.
Can you elaborate, please?
The last show that I directed, notice how I paused before I started answering.
Yes.
The last show that I directed was Rent.
Okay.
And there was a board member at the theater that I directed who took a sabbatical from the board. Rent. I mean, what? It's like doing its 25th anniversary or 20-year anniversary now. I mean, are we not used to these subjects? And plus, it's interesting that they say Rent is about homosexuality at this point. Really, it's about love and, looking at a year in the life and all that kind of stuff. But there was a board member that took a sabbatical from the first day of auditions until closing because we were doing Rent. Because
Wow.
it was about homosexuals. So is it as progressive? No.
Did you have a diverse cast?
Surprisingly, pretty darn diverse for Eastern North Carolina.
Okay.
More so than I thought. The only there was only one cast member that I couldn't quite get, and it was Joanne. So, but not bad. I mean, not bad. I say I struggle because I say colorblind casting, but I always feel like sometimes that doesn't go both ways, and I had this like real internal struggle with that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, the colorblind and color conscious. Yeah, it's a struggle in
it
the
is, and
communities themselves.
I have feelings about that. That's not the question you asked, um,
Well,
but was it as progressive? No. I mean, we look. It's an election year. You drive a half an hour outside of any major city and look at the signs, and you'll see that it's a much more conservative area than So it is what
mhm,
it is. And I think the important thing, I obviously you could tell my struggle with that, but
mhm,
on the flip side, and
mhm,
to put a positive spin, is we have um, as artists
mhm,
the opportunity to make a difference
mhm,
and to help others in the community, whether it's by providing a safe space, which we did with Rent, to have the LGBT community, LGBTQ plus community come out and see Rent, and to have a space where they could be themselves in small Eastern North Carolina, which was amazing. Um, we had the opportunity to have people see a show that wouldn't have otherwise been in Eastern North Carolina, and to hell with one person. So that's the beautiful thing about being in the arts, that we can do that even if it's 20 years old. Who
yeah,
cares? Love is love, and it doesn't matter if that storyline's 20 years old. There's themes that still exist.
feels-
Blah, off my soapbox. Thanks for
that's okay. I appreciate that.
Sorry, rambled.
It's
Sorry.
all right. No, you gave me the answer. Adrian, you hold on. Sean, I want to ask you a question right quick. Have you ever been in a theater and something has happened to a fellow actor that you thought was race related and unfair? And your yes or no is going to lead me somewhere else.
Um, Trying to think of a specific moment. I think sometime in high school, I was in a production of Aida. Um,
Mhm,
and for anyone who doesn't know the story of Aida, it's very racially charged. It's beautiful. I love it. But
mhm,
I remember doing a school show, and I was an ensemble member, a dancer at the time.
mhm,
And because there's a white princess who is betrothed to a white prince to get married, and the prince falls in love with the Nubian princess. And I remember one of the school shows, just like hearing cackling or like boo. I don't even remember what, but I remember there was some form of like a dissent from the audience, and I think that was the moment where I realized that this story is important and it needs to be told. And I hate that people are reacting to it in this way, but also it's not for them. If they're not going to listen, then it's for the people that want to listen and that need it. And I'm sure I don't quite remember all the details of it, but I just remember a feeling of something going on.
Well, let me ask you this: the young lady, the Nubian that played the Nubian princess. Did you see any type of reaction from her from the negativity?
I think she was, I don't want to speak for her, but she is still a good friend of mine. And I think she
Mhm,
was nervous in general for it because it is such an in-your-face topic. Um,
mhm,
and, this was 15 years ago, but even then
mhm,
it was still something
mhm,
you didn't really like. you wanted to go to theater to watch something fluffy. You didn't want, like, a lot of people don't want to hear anything serious. So I think she struggled with carrying the weight of that show on her shoulders because it is such a heavy story that I think she both prospered and had some pushback for it that made it very difficult. I mean, at the end of every show, she was tired physically from the role, but tired emotionally from the role and the reaction. Even if it was perceived how, you know, what she was thinking, they were thinking.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Adrian, was there ever a time when you were in a show as an actor and it's a yes or no, and it's fine, and a director of another race told you that you weren't portraying your character as Black enough?
I'm grateful to say no. That didn't happen. If it would happen, I would quit the show.
Okay. Well, and I appreciate you saying that, but with you saying that, I'll say this. I don't necessarily think it's that easy because, as Tristan said earlier, he was not aware that that was being said to him, because that's basically what was being said to him when he was told to stand up and tap. It was basically being said, "Wait, you're Black, get up there and tap dance." In so many ways, he wasn't saying you're not acting Black enough, but that was that.
Well, you want to know something funny? On the flip side, I was told by someone of the same ethnicity that wasn't being Black enough. They just didn't say you're being Black enough. It's just, okay, Adrian, the way you're delivering this line, I need you to deliver it like, you know, like Ray Ray on the Block. You're not doing it like Ray Ray on the Block. You're doing it like, you know, someone else. But, you know, and would have someone like do it like Ray Ray from the Block and stuff. And basically that was their definition of Black. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about that when that happened?
Well, of course, at that time, you know, I was just sitting back. I was annoyed, but I was just sitting back taking notes and stuff. But I was sitting back. I was taking notes and trying to like give the best performance that I possibly could give, right? But I was also annoyed because I'm like, yo, I'm trying to play this role. I'm trying to put a certain spin on it and stuff. But what you want me to do is like imitate a character from TV a TV show that you saw, right? And that is like very, very average, below average type directing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, tell me something. Does it make it different or better that it came from a Black person instead of a white person?
No, it doesn't, because okay, I'll tell you what. Actually, it makes it worse, because I'm like, yo, like Tristan said, we're not monolith, right? But you are trying to pigeonhole me into this monolithic thinking that every black person walking around here dabbing like this. And as I ain't articulate Black people like you, like me, like Tristan, who talk like this and can actually carry forth a decent, grammatically correct conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, and that's gonna.
Might I respond?
Yes.
Might I respond? So I think too, contextually, because working under Black directors versus white directors, and receiving that note has historically had a different connotation. So I think if you're working with a really, really skillful Black director who happens to be Black, and they tell you too, because in my experience, as an actor, I know that my work is to always bring my full self to whatever it is that I've been, whatever role it is, whatever script that is that I've been given. And a part of my, and I have to be honest in that execution. And I think too is that when we receive notes, like, you know, historically we've all heard the stories, or some of us have heard the stories of like Black actors going into audition rooms, and you know, directors, all these, you know, producers and directors are asking them, you know, to pull out do you have a song where you can belt, or, you know, these very, you know, covert sort of microaggressive requests. And we've worked with, some of us have worked with directors that are very, you know, microaggressive and like, you know, covert in a lot of their direction. But in my experience, having worked with some really skillful Black directors who do demand a sort of authenticity for you, because I know that my role, Tristan, in my experience in the theater, has always been to sort of assimilate and adjust to an idea of what is digestible for white audiences and white directors and my white colleagues. And I think that when I've been able and blessed to work with directors who look like me, and they give me notes that say, you know, well, Tristan, you can make this a little bit more at home, bring it home a little bit. Now that is something that I can receive and embrace, because I know the context in which they are giving me, they're giving me a safe space to not have to assimilate, to not have to sort of cast aside my Blackness and who I am. You know, when we bring it into the context of Shakespeare, whenever we use Shakespeare, there's already these ideas that we have when we approach the work of Shakespeare, right? But when I see, but working with brilliant directors and having studied under some really wonderful Shakespearean Black directors and actors, and they ask that, you don't really, this is not so far away from home for you. Bring this language and make it you. Now that's a different sort of note than versus, hearing something from somebody who does not look like you say, can you make this more Black? And because again, it projects this caricature of this idea of who you think I might be, versus someone, my brother or sister, who's directing me and knows who I am and says, I don't need you to assimilate or pretend, but what I need you to do is bring your full self and bring it home. And that I can hear a little bit more differently. And I don't feel a way when I hear Justin Emeka, who's a professor at Oberlin College and teaches Shakespeare, say, you can bring this Shakespeare work a little bit more. It's you and Shakespeare. It's not you performing Shakespeare, but it's you and Shakespeare. Or when I hear, a Whitney White say, well, you can bring this home a little bit more, and by home, you can make it a little bit more authentic to you and your experiences and your cultural experiences, and how would you respond honestly in the moment. And that is something that I can hear and embrace and love, and it empowers me as an actor to know that I can be who I am in this work, and I think that is within itself a protest. It's protest when a black actor can show up and bring their full selves to the role and reclaim something that has had sort of negative connotations. I was watching Deborah Wilson, brilliant comedian, on Mad TV, wonderful comedian. And you know, I was watching her on a bit of a VH1 documentary talk about, you know, Black women in comedy. And she was talking about Mobs Mabley and Monique and all these wonderful Black women comedians who have taken sort of these historical caricatures of the neck roll or the rolling of the eyes and sort of use those things and use them to their advantage, use them as things to empower them in reclaiming something that has been demonized against them. And so I think that a lot of that, when we hear those things come from our people, those can be used to empower us because there's a different historical connotation when we hear it from someone who looks like us, you know?
So on that note, real quick, I put it like this. See, when I was getting the type of direction that I was referring to and stuff, they weren't like it wasn't coming from, you know, tenured theatrical Shakespearean professors like you received, or professional directors, any of that. It was based off of someone who watched New Jack City and got an idea. Now, I will say this: if I was Lorenz Tate, right? Okay, I'm not Lorenz Tate. If I was in Lorenz Tate's shoes, right, and I was getting ready to shoot a scene for Menace to Society, and the Hughes brothers said, do this and be real about it. Yo, I'm tapping in, because you don't want me to be a caricature of anybody. You have given me a story to act upon and to carry out and produce to the viewing audience. Not only that, but something that is real to me and many people who look like me. You know what I'm saying? But when you just want me to like mimic a character that's already been created off of your lack of homework that you've done, that's problematic. And as far as white directors or a director of another ethnic group doing that, I mean, shoot, I think Chadwick Boseman already spoke to that when he went to the producers about Guiding Light. And you know what? Let me correct myself. What he did, I probably would have done the same thing. Let's give this person a story instead of having him bopping and, you know, looking and mimicking being a caricature. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Can I
now,
just add, can I
go ahead?
just say something real quick? Tristan, so beautifully said. And I fail at it so much because I get caught up in the logistics more than I should. But my goal is always to give actors a soft place to land. And again, I fail at it so much. But what you said was so beautiful, and a great reminder for directors to just, no matter what, no matter who, to just give actors a soft place to land and to be able to be their authentic selves, no matter what, no matter who. But so beautifully said. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you for sharing that.
Sean, I got a question for you. It's something that I've heard several times tonight, and I want definitions from everybody. And obviously, you're going to come after. Sean is first, so everybody else will obviously be coming after someone. But I almost want to turn your speakers off so you can't hear the person before you. But I want your authentic definitions, but don't turn them off. I want your definitions of what it is. But Sean, what is, in theater, what is your definition of a safe space?
It's a place where you can find meaning in the text, find how you connect to it, how you tell the story, as a unit, as an individual, but then also as a collective, because every person's safety adds to the overall safety. And I feel like it's a place where you're allowed to be honest and make mistakes and embrace them and then learn from them and move forward, so that you're creating the most true character and story to tell the audience, what the mission, what you're telling them. A place where you can have, you should be having conversations, before, during, after, about what things mean to different people, because it's not going to mean the same thing. And that's what's beautiful about it, but respecting that and finding a cohesive way to tell the story as a full unit with individual stories shining through.
Okay, thank you. Tristan, same question. What is a safe space in theater?
Where you can come and as an artist, again, and I'm riffing off what I stated earlier, but bringing your full self, where you can fail and know that it's okay to just fail and keep and fail gloriously, fail beautifully. And I think that has to be a language that is established by leadership. That leadership, people in the room who are in positions of leadership, right? I am not dictatorship, but leadership. I am on this journey to help. That's what, directors, ADs, stage management, all of these wonderful people in the room that are in positions of leadership to help shepherd artists to feel, as Judy said, to land on a soft spot where they can be creative and we can create art in a way that, again, everyone feels that they can bring their whole authentic selves, and we can challenge one another in ways that are helpful, ways that are productive, that move us forward as a cohort, as a creative cohort. I think that's what a safe environment is where I know that I can come into the room and I can be Tristan, and I know that the person who is our leader is there and is welcoming and embracing me with a warm heart and sees me here and sees me here in my mind, my heart, and my spirit, and sees me from those three places, and then can shepherd us all to higher, greater art, to further story tell, because I think we're living in a revolutionary time right now where we can really create art. And as Sean mentioned earlier, people come to the theater to or at that time people had come to the theater to witness fluff, but I think that we are in a revolutionary time as artists right now to serve our communities what it is that they need. And so people are yearning for real stories. People are yearning for deep understanding, deep joy, inspiration, and blood, gut and blood. And I think that it's a lot of demand, but it's one worth meeting, especially when you have people in positions of leadership, artistic directors and all of these people in positions of power that says, welcome, and the space is yours. Now take up space, and that's a safe space to me.
Okay, thank you. Adrian, same question.
How the heck am I supposed to follow an answer like that?
Tristan did give it, didn't he? He gave it all. Okay, yes.
All right, I'm gonna try. Safe space to me. You mentioned Tristan mentioned assimilating, right? Me, I don't believe in assimilating. I will say that a safe space to me is where I don't have to assimilate, where I don't have to assimilate, where I could just come in and be Adrian, and you give me the script, you give me the notes, you give me the coaching, and all that, you open up every single door there is to create and put something beautiful and put something dope together. And I can just lay back with all necessary resources and do it. There's no judgment. Yeah, there's gonna be differences of opinion because we're human beings. Nobody directly to a T agrees with anybody. But that don't matter. We got a goal in mind. We're going to achieve it, and we're going to achieve that goal.
Okay.
That's
All right. Thank you. Okay. And Judy.
Yeah, and thank you for using the word judgment, Adrian. No judging. I think that's great. I think a safe space is someplace physically safe. Big movement now of making sure that people are comfortable with physical contact, as well as the emotional and mental safe space. And I think it's important to, just to add on to what everyone else is saying, that it starts as a safe place. It's a safe place when you're there, and it's a safe place after you leave. I think so many times we see things, especially now with social media, where something may have happened during a rehearsal and then all of a sudden there's some backlash or something, where as a company or as a community, like we see that maybe somebody took a video during a rehearsal or something odd happened and then there's this weird backlash because of it. I don't think that's necessarily safe for actors. I'm really big on there's no videotaping or anything weird like that. And also that if you do have a company that's working together, that you resolve and stuff like that instead of taking it out into the community and sort of dealing with it in that way instead of, hey, we sort of deal with it here. That to me makes things safe for people to express and explore, so that you're not fearful that if I try this, that outside of the rehearsal, I'm going to be made fun of. That's a really horrible feeling. So I think it's important for that sort of after, that you can feel safe, that when I walk away, that I'm going to be held safe as well. So I'll add that as well onto it.
And I mean, I'll tell you guys the reason why I asked this question. I've challenged some theaters on putting in their bylaws and guidelines and stuff about safe space. And they just put the words in there and then they go on. And I've said, do your actors, tech people, directors, crew members, do they actually know what you mean by safe space? Technically, I got 4 kind of different responses here out of what safe space means. I know some actors who were picked on during rehearsals, and it wasn't a race thing. It was just a Mean Girls thing, and they didn't feel that they could go to anyone and speak on the issue. They didn't know who to go to speak about the issue. They went to the stage manager who said she didn't have time, to the director who said he didn't have time, to the artistic director who sent them back to the director, who again said didn't have time. That's not a safe space either. But again, it also deals with what you guys said. That's a part of that programming that I talked about in the very beginning. It's just safe space. Okay, well, as someone who's signing the contract, what does that mean to me?
I think it also excuse me for interrupting, but I think it
No, go
also
ahead.
depends too on at what level you're kind of working in theater. I mean, I've had the tremendous opportunity to work in equity theater as a performer. So
Mhm,
you're kind of going, and if you were to say something um, to your stage manager, it would be dealt
mhm, mhm,
if there was an issue. If you're in a community theater setting, which is where I direct, things work a little bit differently. And when
mhm,
you talk about safe spaces and, um,
mhm,
you know, it, things are a little bit different. Your rehearsal period is not 10 days, it's
mhm,
potentially 2 months, uh,
mhm,
you know, where you're rehearsing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from, you know,
mhm,
7 to 9, so
mhm,
things
mhm.
are kind of lasting a little bit longer and there's more potential for things like that to happen. But yeah, and I think more and more theaters are sort of defining things more, unfortunately, because things are happening. Uh, things are being more defined, and I think it does take leadership uh, to go in and say, it's fine for you to say safe space. It's fine for you to have this terminology, but without definition, it means nothing. And without assigning people or a person or an avenue or whatever, so what? Uh,
And I
yeah.
go ahead. And I was gonna say, and I bring it to you, to your attention, and to anybody that's watching this, because at some point, I see you guys doing something on a higher level, and I think a lot of times we take for granted. Well, like Judy was just saying, you know, on a grander scale, the stage manager would take care of it, but on a community scale, it might not be taken care of as easy. But what happens on a community scale, they adopt the writings of what's on a grand scale, but they don't adopt the actual code of ethics a lot of times. So, like, I've heard about the Chicago Code of Ethics, but as far as community goes, how many people have actually read them? You get them to say, okay, we adhere to the Chicago Code of Ethics. Sometimes I just want to say, okay, well, tell me number 4. I just want to look at them and say, tell me number 4, and just see what their response is. Because I doubt very seriously if they know what number 4 is. It's just, it's the programming. It's what we're supposed to say. And I've done this show long enough. And I did a kids edition of this. And I had a young Black girl who was backstage doing a show, and they turned the lights off in the room that the kids were in. And a kid told them, when they turned the lights off, said, look, you can't see her anymore because the lights were off, because she was darker. She told nobody, but it stayed with her. But she saw the safe space. You see what I'm saying? So, I understand, but she's an actress just like we are, actress, just like we are, So um it's something I just want you guys to really think about. It has to do with our programming and the way we are conditioned in theater, and how we cope and how we go through different things in theater. Um, I want to know now, because I'm gonna be nice for a hot minute. Because yeah,
You've been so horrible.
I know. I've just been so nasty. Um, what's going on with you guys now? Because I'm gonna jump off race for a minute. Because COVID is just a whole subject by itself, a whole fly sitting on top of Pence's head by itself. Yeah. Sean, what are you currently working on? What have you been doing since COVID?
Well, the day kind of quarantine started in mid-March, I had just gotten off a contract. And I mean, they probably should have wrapped early, but the theater was trying to hold on to whatever money they could make. So we went up until March 15th. And then all of my 2020 contracts were canceled or, rescheduled for next year. So I've really struggled to find something to keep me in the, not even in the theater scene, but invested in it, because it's what I live for. It's more than, a paycheck or what little there is. So I've struggled to find something, and I'm, working odds and end jobs right now with the hope that 2021 brings something more positive. But it's also scary because the theater world is so fragile, and theaters can fall, with one bad season when they're already running, and just the prospect of, there is no normal to return to. So I don't know what, I have potential contracts for next year, but until I get there, and whether I feel safe, because, some of these non-union contracts, while they are great, they get to kind of scapegoat some of the things, the standards they should be following, but they're not required to. So then what does that mean for me as an artist? Do I say, well, I need to feel like me again, or do I need to physically be safe? So it's a hard place to balance right now. So currently I'm just holding on to hope.
And you are union, correct?
I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
I'm not. I decided not to.
In this area, I understand.
Because it doesn't make sense living in the Southeast to be union. But then again, that's where they do step in, and they do have protections right now that help. So it's such a catch-22. So no, I am non-union right now.
Okay. All right. Judy, what are you currently doing theater-wise?
Nothing. I'm working at Starbucks for benefits. Do you? Okay.
I do.
We'll talk. Okay.
Are you wearing your shirt? Yes, you are.
Yes, of course I'm wearing my shirt. I just got off. Happy hour today. Buy one, get one. Are you drinking Starbucks? Tristan?
I'm drinking Starbucks tea.
Tristan, did I see you drinking a Starbucks beverage?
Oh.
Dunkin' Donuts. Ooh, the shade of it all.
It's okay.
Okay.
Cheaper. I understand.
Adrian, what are you doing right now?
I'm glad you asked that, because I was going to try and find a way to throw this into the conversation. November 6th. I am putting up a play that I wrote, produce, I'm directing, and I'm acting in, called Aprender Español. I'm glad we're talking about race and whatnot, because this approaches the Black and brown relationship in Los Angeles. Lots of animosity there. It's called Aprender Español. It's going up, Zoom, YouTube, 8 o'clock.
Could you
November
spell that
6th.
for me, please?
THAT. Now I'm playing. I'm playing. You said spell that.
Don't. You're not.
FDRENDER. ESPAN.
I'm just finding you on Facebook, and then I'll find you.
Thank you. We're just gonna find you on Facebook. We're gonna,
yeah, y'all add me. I feel like I made some new friends. But also, I'm very much a part of this company here in Greensboro called Scrap Metal. I found out yesterday. I'm super excited about this. They're going to be putting up readings of Gem of the Ocean. I'm going to be playing Bartlow, and King Hedley II. I'll be playing King Hedley. August Wilson is my man. I love August Wilson. These are dreams come true. Also, I have a podcast called 80 Clues Renaissance. It's very arts based. I spend most of the time is mostly based on talking to Black artists about what they do and what they contribute to the whole stratosphere. But weekly, I stop everything, pull out all theater people of multiple ethnic groups and whatnot, and just sit back and talk theater. So that's basically what I got going on.
Okay, thank you. Judy, were you gonna say something else?
I was just going to say,
Go
right
ahead.
before COVID, we're going to be doing some very exciting stuff in Durham. I know.
Right before COVID?
Right. Like legitimately right before COVID happened. Just saying there's an underserved market in Durham that might have to do with theater and music.
Oh, okay.
That, you know, when Deepak came, it sort of left a rather large poo. So yeah, things were.
Yeah. Okay.
We were legitimately about 2 weeks from having audition announcements for
Oh wow.
in Durham. Space procured, musical director, everything.
Wow.
But I will say, it's going to happen, and it's all good. This is just the longest intermission ever.
Wait a minute.
Intermission ever. So it will happen. It will happen. And it's okay. What? Are you okay?
I can't hear. Can y'all hear? Why have I lost audio?
I can hear you.
I
Juan.
have completely lost audio. That's not good.
Tristan's muted.
Y'all, I have lost audio. What the world just happened?
Zoom being Zoom.
Lauren.
Look.
Let's see. I don't know what just happened. I just lost all audio. And y'all can hear me, but I can't hear you. Tristan, go ahead and hopefully I can hear. Let me figure out why I just lost audio. Turn on your mic and tell us what you have been up to.
Are you able to hear me? Awesome. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I've been home with my family here in Tennessee, and I actually was in North Carolina a week ago for the Process series at UNC, produced by Joseph Meagle, working on a piece that's been in development for 2 years on James Baldwin. And that has been a lot of my time since March, is writing a lot, and researching and reading, and also using this time as like sort of a sabbatical year, using this quarantine as a sabbatical to sort of like replenish and restore the mind and the body, and so just really tapping into my creativity and working with Revolution Now, the Black Theater Workshop in Brooklyn, New York, and doing writing an original script for them titled The Waterflower for an audio drama series. So a lot of writing, and just again completed a really inspirational workshop of James Baldwin work that I've been working on for 2 years at UNC, and will be produced at UNC in 2 years. So yeah.
UNC Chapel Hill. UNC
Yes.
Playmakers are wonderful.
Yeah.
Please do let us know. Friend us and let us know, please.
Guys, I don't know how I lost audio, but I cannot hear anything. That is, Lauren, please pop back on because I can't hear anything. I don't know what happened. I really don't.
Hey guys.
I lost audio. This is weird.
You know, Zoom is just not our friend. That is why. That is why. That is why. What are you doing, Juan? Well, Juan and I are going to start playing charades in a minute. But anyway, I'm so glad that you guys did with us tonight. I'm not sure where Juan was going to go with the rest of the questions. I usually just let him run with it and sit in the background and watch. But I have, Tristan, seen you perform. If you all have not seen Tristan perform, he is a mesmerizing dancer, performer. So please check out his work, follow him online. Sean, I told you, I've only seen you perform once, and that was in Rudolph, and I reviewed it with my niece. And it was very special. I'm guessing it was her first show, so she'll never forget seeing
Oh, that's
with
cute.
her auntie. Then she dragged me to see JoJo, and I will take Rudolph any day over JoJo.
Oh.
Judy, I am just so happy to see you. I'm
happy
so
to
happy to see your
too.
face.
I'm happy to see you too. I don't think I'd let you know, but I did the vagina monologues with
Oh, Alex Mazio's group.
yeah. I was able
Oh.
to do that right before, it was maybe a month or so before COVID, and met some really extraordinary people with that. So that was really cool. Yeah.
It's a good group. They do a really good job, and it's a good group of women.
Yeah.
who work
And it
on
was put together quick, and that was really cool. Yeah. Made some good money for the domestic violence programs in the area. So.
I do have a question for you all, because this is something that's been on my mind a lot. The virtual theater experiences that we're seeing now. Do you think these virtual performances are going to hurt theaters in the long run, or do you think they help build up a new audience?
Okay, I'll answer. I counted the 3 in my head waiting for y'all to answer, but I'll answer. What virtual theater is to me right now is 2 things. Number one, it's an appetizer. You know what I'm saying? Like we cannot all meet in person right now and get the full course meal of theater, but you can still see the stories play out in some way. And as you are hearing the words, you can still form the pictures in your minds and whatnot. So again, like I said, the appetizer. And you're able to see theater at its root, where you have to put the story together in your mind, as opposed to it playing out before you. On my YouTube channel, I'm sorry, I got to plug myself a little bit. On my YouTube channel, there's this play that I wrote called Battle of the Books, and we're doing just that. And also what I did with Battle of the Books, again, YouTube channel, my full name, Adrian Dion Quarles. Please like, comment, and subscribe. But also what I did was I took it and I put it on my podcast, going back to kind of like kind of like a throwback way that theater used to be presented, and that is through radio plays. So, how many of us were talking about radio plays before? How many of us were talking about radio plays before COVID? You know what I'm saying? So actually, I think that we have been able to get creative with how we present theater, and we're going to appreciate all the more and have other avenues once COVID ends and we're back on stage.
The Battle of the Books, was that a Sips and Scripts? Did they do a reading at Sips and Scripts with Yvette Holden?
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, she does great work. Tristan, what do you think?
I love it.
Are these virtual experiences, and we're seeing a lot of them right now, going to help or hurt theaters in the long run?
I don't think that there's like a, binary answer for that. I think too, it's, I think that we have to, I think it's very, I think it's, I will say that I think it's very vital for theaters to keep their theaters alive. And by way of that is right now is we have to do it virtually. And on the other side of that, my social justice brain is also saying, this is also a time for us because I understand economically it's what we have to do. And, a lot of theaters are hurting right now economically. So I get that very pragmatic part. And also the social justice part is saying, for artists, that this is also a time to rest actually and I say rest in a way like that the theater very much is a paradigm of this capitalistic machine that we all have been like it's adopted and we have become a part of it. And I think that right now is also a time in this climate in which we are living is an opportunity for us to restore our individual selves so that when it is time to come back together, new in new ways, in a ways in which we have reimagined the theater and reimagined our culture. I think that it'll be a very invigorating time, but I think that it's nuanced for me because my response to it is nuance is that I understand the vitality of like keeping your theater alive, and by way of doing that is to host these readings virtually. And also I believe that there is a time for us to really just be at home and do the things that are necessary for us as individuals, so that we can really again contribute to our world in a way that is reimagined. We can imagine a new world going forward, and reimagine like this capitalistic structure that we are all a part of and that we all participate in. And that is we become machines. And I think that that's what that the model of these virtual readings model, like, okay, we're gonna beat a machine. And I'm like, and I stated to a friend, I'm like, the theater, just the very makeup of it is that you beat a dead horse and the horse is dead. He's not alive. And so I think we take that this is a time for us to replenish and restore. And I keep singing the same song, but I think that those are my thoughts, and it's very nuanced. And with this, current climate and the election coming up, I think that a lot of my energy is to that, and beyond the election, and has been prior to the election. My energy is to restore like who we are as people first, and so yeah.
It's a tiring time. I think we've all experienced some grief during this time, and so we do need to kind of restore ourselves. Judy, what do you think? I'm going around as I see the boxes.
I mean, basically to mirror what Tristan was saying in a much less eloquent way, which is I hope that theaters who need the money are the ones who are doing it. I hope the theaters that need to tell a story right now because of what's going on in the world are the ones who are doing it. I hope they're the ones that are doing it, not just maybe the ones who are fluffy. That's just my opinion. Because I know that there are a lot of theaters out there who are struggling to maybe have to pay their bill, to pay their mortgage payment or whatnot. So I hope we're leaving the room open for them to do this. And I do think there's a place for it. And I also agree that maybe this is a time. I love to see those artists who you sometimes look at and you go, gosh, they are just an endless well of creativity. And how do they do it? I know mine, I run dry, and I dip down that bucket and it's like, there's nothing there. And so I agree, and I'm not saying it as eloquently as Tristan, but to kind of take that time and honestly, from a director's point of view, and sometimes being caught up, I've said before, in the logistics of things where I get caught up in that. And I don't find that soft place, and I'm not the person that I want to be for the actors or the audience or the board or the this or the that. But to kind of now be in that place of, my God, do I miss theater, and I miss my family, my theater family, my peeps, and all that kind of stuff, and to kind of be forced in that position of, I miss them, and I want to come back being that good and that better person and that more centered person, instead of the, all right, we've got that bottom line, we've got to get this done and that done and this done and that done, and try to remember it's not just about that, but it's about the people. It's about the people.
It is about the people. I miss the people. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think to say that it's a placeholder, it's just something necessary right now for us to still connect in some way so that we don't feel completely alone. We're already out of our element. But I know that artists are so resilient, and we will get through this. And I just, the first opening night, the first rehearsal, it's gonna feel so great to just be who we are again and in our element. And I can't wait for that. But I also think, like Tristan said, this is a time where artists and companies have to sit down and go through the hard conversations and take stands and have, work together. Because I don't know that had COVID not happened, that my focus would have been solely on theater right now, because the world is such a mess, COVID aside, that like the election is weighing heavy, and so many things going on. I think we have to figure out who we are as people, come together, and then as artists. Like, I mean, even last election, I was in a rehearsal, and every 5 minutes people were checking phones. We could not focus, and nobody blamed anybody. Nobody was upset about it. We decided to call rehearsal because, I'm shaking thinking of it, just how the night went downhill so quickly. And at that point, rehearsal didn't matter. Like, we had to figure out life. And I feel like, I don't know that if I were in a rehearsal right now, I could focus on that, because there is so much going on that just, it like weighs at my heart and my mind. So I think it's just getting us ready for when the world is better, for I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to get there. And as artists, we're the catalysts for a lot of it. We're on the forefront of it.
Sorry, my family didn't know that I was like on, because I'm not like where I usually am when I'm on. So Juan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. That's never happened before. It just like in the middle of, who was it talking? Judy talking. It just went like, I was
You would
like,
not believe what I said. Everyone, was it not the most profound thing you've ever heard in your life?
I will go back and listen. You do know that, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's recorded. It's recorded. I am back on. But go ahead, Adrian. Go ahead.
Well, I heard a pattern with everybody's answers and stuff, and it sounds like everybody is looking at, well, I'm not looking at it like this, but sounds like everybody is looking at this time as a great time to, sort of, not completely, but sort of like divest into theater and become more engaged with what type of society is. Dang, why are you looking at me like that, man?
Go ahead, Juan. Tell him. Juan and I have had many conversations about there are theater artists
Oh, it went out again.
in our.
Well, what I was getting at is, it sounds like everybody's sounds like most everybody is thinking now's a good time to like sort of take a couple steps back from theater and focus on the world around us, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the moderator.
Can I chime in? I don't want to. I have to. I'm taking care of my mom. I'm just trying to put a positive spin on it. I'm just trying to be optimistic. But every day I die a little bit more inside. You know, you could say, pull up your bootstraps and make something happen for yourself. But as the primary caregiver for my mother, that's more important, so I just got to let it ride right now. And I can choose to look at it optimistically of filling my well and all that kind of stuff or not. So apparently Juan might be having a slight issue with his.
I got headphones. They work.
Okay. So yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't mean to make it sound like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I hate it. But I'm just trying to make it sound somewhat optimistic, but it sucks.
Okay, so let me ask.
Sound like everybody wants to get. Oh, let me be quiet. Juan, go ahead.
Let me ask a question since I keep going in and out because my speakers keep going in and out for some reason in my house. But so am I to take it that some like the Zoom and some don't like the Zoom? Since I was here and I wasn't here, is that right?
More or less. I mean,
okay.
We know there's nothing like being in the room or sharing that experience that you feel, the tingles you get when the finale ends, and as an audience member, as a crew, as a performer.
Well, let me share mine. Since COVID, let me share my positives. Since COVID, this has started. So this is a positive for me to do what we're doing right now. It may not be a positive why it started, but it's been a positive because you guys are in 4 different locations, and to be able to do this is a wonderful thing. I have done several Zoom plays. Have they been the best? No, they have not. But I have met people in Arizona and California. And I met an actor in California who also was a director. And as a result of acting with them in something, I got into a play that she was directing. And because someone in California saw it, I got into another play out in California. And I did absolutely nothing. That was nice. I had to learn how to master Zoom as far as a person, not an actor, as a person, and understand me in about 17 minutes. When we get off of here, I would be tearing this computer apart to figure out why my speakers don't work. Believe you me. But I had to master Zoom. I have done a few shows. I have emceed a fundraising event. I have 2 screens and my television. I can have 3 screens at one time on Zoom. I am learning OBS. I'm learning Twitch. I'm learning how to do everything backstage for Zoom. Those are the pluses. I wasn't familiar with the minuses until 2 weekends ago when Pure Life did a Shakespeare reading. And we did it outside and we did it live. And it was a reading. We changed a few of the words. We did the comedy of errors, so it was a comedy. And it's funny when Tristan was talking about taking Shakespeare and making it our own. We were able to do just that with the comedy of errors. and it was exciting. It was the adrenaline. It was the rush. We had an audience. It was that good feeling again. So I have enjoyed this. I want to get back to that, but there have been some very positive things in doing this Zoom thing. If you stay open to it and allow it to be what it is. Is it gonna be as perfect as theater? No. I have one that I'm rehearsing now where the woman that plays my mom is supposed to hand me $5. We had to figure out how we were going to do that to where she puts the $5. She literally takes her hand and does that with the $5. And when she does that with the $5, I literally have to reach down here and I have my $5 here and I have to pull it back up like this to make it look like she's giving me the $5. You would have thought that was acting one-on-one. That was like the most difficult thing in the world. It took us 10 minutes to figure that one out. It shouldn't have, because if we were in live theater, it would have just been skimming $5 and that wouldn't have been nothing. But for this, yeah, it's something. And so you have things like that, but to me, it's a new medium and I'm excited about it, but because I don't think we're getting back to what we're used to. I don't see it happening for another year. They can put us in phase 3. They can put us in phase 15. Oh, he's giving it 2 years. Wow. They can put us in phase 15. I don't see it. I don't see us packed. I don't see us getting back to a full house because theater people who come to see theater are scared. And the thought of them sitting beside someone and they go one good time and the house is clear. So it's not us on the stage, it's the people in the audience. We'll get up on the stage, but it's selling out Progress Energy in Raleigh. And I don't know a lot about Nashville, but it's selling out the Opry in Nashville. See if you did a play there. Selling out the Coliseum in Greensboro. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen in no time soon. And so with that being said, I would suggest learning the medium and taking it and doing what you can with it and using it for your good, because it's here. It ain't going nowhere. And when we get back to live theater, it's gonna be in live theater. You can best believe there are going to be plays where there is going to be a character that is going to be on a television that is going to be from Zoom, or 2 characters. And those characters may not even be in Raleigh or in Nashville or in Greensboro or in Hillsboro. They may actually be in California and they would be a whole character. And you got to learn how to deal with it and work around them. So I would suggest you learn how to embrace it, because I'm doing my best to. And like I said, I enjoy it. So it's my 2 cents.
At this point, I'm more concerned about the actors than I am about the audiences. I'm not going to put actors at risk.
Yeah, well, yeah, understandable.
Yeah, it's just an overall public health thing, right? You know, right now I say that what I spoke to earlier about us, this is an opportunity, you know, for us to really be at home with ourselves here, and be in our physical homes. And as difficult as that is, you know, because a lot of us are in isolation, that it is also an opportunity that life has presented to us under these really unfortunate circumstances where over 200,000 people have died. That is something to reckon with. Like, you know, public health safety is a priority, and I think the community is a priority, and that live virtual theater is a luxury actually during this time, and that is it is a luxury. And I'll be direct about that. It's a luxury, and I think that as artists too, our priority is to care for ourselves and for our communities. And if that means we have to sacrifice a stage reading via Zoom, then so be it. You know, it's okay. Life will go on. Life has gone on and will continue to go on as long as we're that we're healthy in our communities. We look to our communities and make sure that our communities are healthy. That is a priority. And I think that we as artists, we really have the power to shift the collective consciousness, as Sean stated earlier, about, you know, we have the power as artists to shift the collective consciousness. And sometimes that does not mean being on Zoom doing a reading of, you know, the children's hour. It really, like, that's not vital at all. But what's vital is us being in conversations with ourselves, being in conversations with our communities, and also resting, taking this time to really rest, because we are not machines as well. And our value is not in the work that we do. Our value is in who we are as people. So, you know, if I strip theater away from Tristan, if I strip my dance and my song away, as Toni Morrison says, who you got? There you are with your little self, all strung out. Are you still kind? Are you still strong? Do you still like yourself? So if I strip theater away from everybody in this room, who you got left? There you are, all strung out with your little self.
Well, and tagging in onto something that Tristan said, as much as this is like a waiting period, I'm so grateful every day that we're part of a field that puts our health first. We, like, you know, we believe in science, and we don't want to put our artists and our audience at risk. Whereas, you know, I can't speak for other fields, but I know that our field is looking out for our best interest, physically, you know, emotionally, like, so we won't come back until it is, you know, safe. We're not going to take that risk on anyone's life.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want to know something that I've come to the realization of. This is just something that's going on in my mind, right? So, when you have 20/20 vision, that's when you can see the absolute clearest, right? How crazy is it that it is in this year 2020 that all of us who you know, think and pay attention to what goes on to the world, though I believe that society is revealing for all of us its flaws. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that if you are like paying attention, I don't know everybody's belief system, but I believe in God. I praise God, and I believe that He is showing to all of us where we are getting it wrong at. Like, how dependent are we on, you know, outward resources and not timing into the source. How dependent are we on to entertainment? I mean, I love I love watching NBA. I love watching wrestling, but you know, seeing it in empty arenas is just weird. You know what I'm saying? How much are we just begging to like go to complete chaos? You know what I'm saying? So Tristan, on that one, I'm with you. Now is a good time to just sit back, tune into your spirit, tune into God, and whatnot, and just realize, okay, strip away all the outward stuff and whatnot. Now, who are you, right? So that's what I believe. I believe that in this year 2020, we're being gifted to, you know, see the world for what it is.
Being gifted.
Well, we had I'm hoping I'm saying this right. Kiana Alexander was talking about non-theater people don't understand the what all it takes to put on plays, and they just see the actors and think, okay, well, they're the actors, they're 6 feet apart, they're fine, but they don't understand the backstage people, and you know, they can't be 6 feet apart. You know, you have your dressers and your costume people, you have your band, You have your backup singers. You have your dancers who are backstage getting ready.
Sound people.
Thank you. I'm a
Imagine
sound
having
person. I
a
forget
social distance a crew call.
Right, exactly. You got all those people and they can't be social distance. So it's not just the audience.
And how crazy it is in a normal setting where you don't have to worry about that.
Right. But then you're trying to do all that and and be distant. Well, it's funny. I think one Adrian, something you kind of just hit on. I think one of the pluses right now is we're going back to basics. And with this Shakespeare thing we did a few weeks ago, we were outside and I had to tell a few of the actors, you got to project. We don't have amplification. We don't have domes and walls, and it's not bouncing off of people and bouncing off a wall. It's
You're
out.
not Mike.
It's going up and it's going out, and you're gonna have to project your voice. And they were like, well, you can't do it. Shakespeare's time. That's what they did. And I made an announcement beforehand. I was like, look, this is a reading. I am going to have a piece of paper in my hand. It is Shakespeare. If I get a word wrong, I might come to one of y'all sitting in the audience and ask you, how do I say this word? Because we're here to have fun, because we haven't done this in 8 months. We're just having fun. So if there's a critic out there, this ain't the time for you to write a review. This is not what this is for. This is a one-time thing, and we're trying to enjoy theater. We want to get people who don't normally come to theater, who don't normally do this, to come out and just enjoy themselves. And then when we get back into theater, maybe they'll start coming. And to me, that's what this Zoom stuff is for. So maybe they can see it and they'll get into it and they'll start doing stuff. So, so that's what I'm hoping that would do. That's what I'm hoping that these shows do. I want the public to see you guys, to see a different side of you guys. I don't want them just to see what they see on the stage or what they see when they look at TV, and if they see the directors or the sound people or the crew or whatever, when they see the 3-minute interview and that's supposed to be your life. That's not your life. That's not who you are.
And what you said before that, heard. Heard.
Thank you.
Love it.
So I want them to know and see who you are, and what you think and what you feel, and that you're a real person and with real feelings and what you go through, and that you are 3-dimensional. You're not that one dimension that they see on stage. Granted, yes, I know they see front, and sometimes you turn to the side and sometimes you turn to the back, but it's still technically 1-dimensional because they see you for 2 hours and then they go home. But that's, to me, that's what these last 8 months, that's what hopefully we've had the opportunity to do, is to show them other parts of us. Let me see if she put something else. And so with that being said, it's been 2 hours, y'all. It's time to go to bed. I'm go. Y'all looking at me like, yeah. I'm sitting here with a computer that halfway working.
I'm tired of making coffee.
And I'm upset because wait a minute. I need to know where the Starbucks is that I can come to. You in Hillsborough, you ain't close enough. You in Rock
everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately. Wait a minute. Hold on. Before I get to y'all, okay, Adrian, you in Greensboro. I'm gonna visit you. Tristan, when did you?
Please come through, man.
What do you mean you in Nashville? I thought you was still here. See, I kind of worked with Tristan a year or so ago.
No, so I moved to New York last year. And then I was on contract in DC first quarter of the year, and then COVID hit, and then I went back up to New York, and I come home because COVID had hit New York very, very badly. And so I came home, and I've been home for the last 8 months now, and it was good for me. As I said, I've been using this as a as a time for sabbatical, actually.
Mhm.
It was good.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's an enjoyable thing.
And Sean, where are you?
I'm in Raleigh, Starbucks, the Capitol and Spring Forest location.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Look, I'm driving. I'm driving in my car.
I see you. You're driving down Capitol right now.
Yep. Okay, there it is. All right. I know where to go. So okay. Well, guys, I thank you. I definitely thank you for getting on.
Thank you for
Just
having me, man.
Yes,
interesting
thank you so much. Thank
conversations.
everyone.
Yeah. The looks on your faces in the very beginning, I really appreciate it because you guys are looking at me like, did you just call us out about our nationalities? Yes, I did. And I knew it was going to get you guys to talking. I wanted you guys to be candid and open and upfront about everything. And I definitely appreciate that. And let's spread this throughout theater and make some changes and get some things going. And as Adrian said, let's make some Facebook friends. I'll be tagging y'all as soon as I get off of here. Okay.
Of all the things I said, that's the only things you repeated.
That's the only thing.
He couldn't hear the rest.
Hey, Sean knows me already. He know that's the lie I can tell and get away with it. I couldn't hear. I didn't hear anything from.
while you were gone, a fly landed on my hair.
So wow. So you're Mike Pence tonight. Okay. Okay.
I have a challenge for everybody, real quick before we go.
Oh,
I have a
Lord.
challenge for everybody.
What
I have
is
a
it?
challenge for everybody. This is my challenge.
Yes.
So every time it's election year, Democrats hate Republicans, Republicans hate Democrats. Independents like myself are just looking at both sides like, come on, man, come on. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to hate each other. You know what I'm saying?
Lord, theater person, what is your challenge? Jesus.
Challenge is be nice, show love to someone who does not agree with you on stuff. That's my challenge for everybody.
I can, as long as your last name ain't Trump. Okay, all right, I can do that. Did I say that out loud? Oh, sorry.
Well, Trump had $1 billion for you.
My microphone don't work no more either. Guys, thank you so much.
Let me, because I'm not
Yes.
usually on here about this
Yes.
time, but
Yes.
first, I want to thank you for hosting these conversations. You know, I mean, these are tough conversations. We didn't know that 3 months ago you'd still be having these conversations. We didn't know what Torn was going to be, but I'm just so appreciative of you. And one good thing that has come out of COVID is that I've gotten to know Juan, and he is he's a gift to this community. So
Well, I thought this was going to be hard. Come on, ask the hard question. Ask me the hard question, Juan.
and Kristen, a friend of yours, I don't know if he's your friend, but you were in ragtime with him, Fergie Philippe, who has a golden velvet voice. He will be with me on Wednesday night, so tune in for that.
Wait, what were you in together?
Ragtime.
Hi, Fergie. That's my friend.
He's amazing. He went from ragtime to Hamilton on Broadway. So that's the type of talent we're talking about. He was Hercules Mulligan. Anyway, he will be with me on Wednesday night.
Breathe, Judy, breathe. Breathe, Judy, breathe. Breathe.
What production of Ragtime?
Playmakers.
Playmakers. Mm-hmm.
You were in that production
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recently.
Mm-hmm.
What role?
I was in ensemble and assistant choreographer, yeah.
Okay.
In the Harlem Ensemble, yeah.
Okay. I saw the show. Juan?
I wasn't in it.
Oh, you weren't in it. Okay.
I was in it at JTP. I wasn't in it there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Tristan and I worked together at JTP, and well, he ain't worked with me. I don't dance. I was in Carolina Change, and he was a choreographer last year. Last year?
Mm-hmm. A year ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't never worked with none of y'all.
Right.
We need to change that.
Yeah.
I called Caroline or Change a master class in theater. I thought that was such a great production. I love that show.
I was, look, check this one out, Judy. I was the audio operator and I was in it.
I've done
How's
shows
that
like
for?
that.
And he's a Renaissance man.
I was the bus and I was the audio operator. So literally when it came time for me to be the bus, I turned my own mic on, made sure everybody else's mic was off, came from the back, came around to the front, did my song as the bus, walked off from the stage, went back, turned the other people's mics on, turned mine off, and continued to be the audio operator. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to. Hey, you do what you got to do.
That's showbiz.
That's it. That's it. So
Trust me.
Thank you
I
all,
know.
and thank you, Juan, because I
Yes.
never get a chance to be on here. And
I
last
know.
time I was on here, we had Melba Moore on. We were also starstruck. I didn't get a chance to talk.
Yeah.
To you. Thank you.
Well, y'all, I have to. Well, it's my turn. Lauren asked me to do this, and I was like, I don't know, I guess. And it's been, I don't know why she asked me, but I'm so glad she did. Lauren is my sister. I think my mom has adopted her, and she is wonderful with this. And we have, y'all, just so you four know, we have gotten so much pushback from people that want us to stop doing this. And yeah. And when it doesn't come to me, it goes to Lauren. Yeah. They figured, they don't want to say it to me. They figure they'll get the white woman in charge. And they got the wrong one. Because Lauren will tell me about it and be like, get him. Okay. But I'm like, but Lauren, get him. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll be on next Thursday. So yeah. So we continue to do this because it's needed.
You realize that the best type of theater is the type of theater that produces haters. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best type of theater is the theater that pisses people off.
Uh-huh. Yes. So yes. All right. It's 9:36. Lauren got to go to bed, and I do too. I need my beauty sleep. Tristan, don't you say nothing. All right, guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Okay.
God
Thank
bless
you so much.
God bless y'all. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.